Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Who would not want to remain ahead of time? Who wants to be in a fix without future planning? Well, businesses today are resorting to latest wave of technologies with artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, IoT, turning out to be the buzzwords and the strategic imperatives for future business. With this, let me introduce myself and the topic of the webinar today. I'm Ruben from ET Edge, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all to this live webinar. Is your business artificial intelligence ready, data-driven, and secure to the core? This webinar is brought to you by the Economic Times in association with IBM. In a fast-paced world of constant change, savvy customers evolving technologies and new business models, the need of the hour is to harness cloud technology and utilize data to take advantage of the latest innovations like artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, and IoT. According to a survey, artificial intelligence and IoT are the biggest focus areas for enterprises, with 38% of them claiming artificial intelligence to be their priority and 31% hinting their increased focus towards IoT. But how are we harnessing cloud technology and data to get the best out of our latest technologies? We have seen the world has changed with some greatest technological innovation. And now, the next set of innovation in cloud would be led by artificial intelligence. Therefore, a prudent cloud technology approach would help in better business discussions, improve customer experiences, and innovation for the future. The Economic Times live webinar is your business, artificial intelligence ready, data driven, and secure to the core, would throw light on the fact that how to get onto a cloud technology, which promises security, efficiency, cost saving, even while leapfrogging into the era of hottest technologies, such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, and machine learning. With this, let me hand it now over to Mr. Deepak Rai, Senior Technical Specialist, IBM Cloud, before Mr. Rai starts his presentation. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Rai.
Hey, thanks, Ruben. Thanks for the brief introduction. That was really good. Good afternoon to all. So, as Ruben introduced, my name is Deepak Rai. So, I'm the Senior Technical Specialist on IBM Cloud. So, today's topic is fairly interesting, right? The topic what you're talking about is your business AI ready, data driven, and secure the cloud. This is something which everybody wants to get in. Everybody wants to use an AI technology. Everybody wants to have a security on the cloud. But then, are we really secure over there? Are we really using the AI capabilities with so much of data that has been with you since the inception of your organization or inception of your journey with your respective customers, right? So we'll talk in detail. We'll talk about the use cases. We'll talk about how exactly we can go about with IBM Cloud or with respect to IBM Cloud Private as such. And feel free to interrupt me at any point of time with your queries. I'll be watching your chats as well. And also, if there are any queries, you can just raise your hands as well and probably interrupt me at any point of time. So let's keep it interactive. Having said that, let's start my presentation with respect to the IBM journey, right? So one of the key areas before we talk about AI or security or even in terms of data driven, right? We need to match the right cloud for the right workload. So although we know people have already embraced the cloud platform or they're already embraced to these new technologies, new frameworks, right? When you talk about Kubernetes or when you talk about Cloud Foundry as such. But then having said that, right, we need to match the right cloud for the right workload because this is really important in terms of your customer journey. So here I just, depending on the specific requirement, right, I'll just put on a chart about IBM's cloud journey, whether it can be a private cloud or whether it can be a public cloud as such, or whether it can be an existing customers. So as you can see, right, we have customers both on the public cloud and the private cloud journey, right? And of course, based on the use cases where the customers want to have probably a cloud-like scenario, but they don't want to kind of move out of their organization, right? Or customers are okay to move out of the organization where they host their web application, mobile application, e-commerce site, or something on a public cloud. So it's a mix and match of the customers, and depending on the needs and depending on their workloads and also depending on their compliance, we recommend them what's the right fit for that, because this is really important. Then later comes the AI and the data-driven part and the security part, right? Now, again, when we start off our deployment, right, the very advantage of going ahead with an IBM Cloud approach is the hybrid cloud deployment, because I think we are the only, we are one of the few ones who actually say that we are an enterprise hybrid cloud product as such, right? Because you can deploy the same thing what you see on a cloud, on a private environment, on your on-premises, acting like a private cloud, or you can do the same thing on a public environment where you have all these capabilities of Watson, blockchain, mobile, security on the cloud as well, right? Now here I want to start off with one of the examples of the use cases which IBM generally talks about when it comes to AI or when it comes to the security part of it. The first name that anybody or within IBM that comes to mind is the American Airlines use cases, right? Here I want to talk about a couple of things and what was the journey about and why they embraced IBM Cloud and how they're analyzing the opportunities with respect to AI using Watson, and also how they are actually enhance their security capabilities with respect to the IBM cloud capabilities what you have, right? So, American Airlines was a traditional on-prem customer, right? And they used to have everything in their premises, whether it's with respect to DC or DR. And there was a time in the US where the data centers where their application was actually placed was kind of corrupted due to some natural disaster, and they kind of lost both the DC and DR. And this was impacting them a lot, and kind of you would have understood the kind of impact that would have to the customer with the presence of American Airlines, right? And how many customers would have been impacted through that, right? And that's when they decided, okay, this is a time we need to move to the cloud. But we need to make sure that it should be the right cloud for us so that we can continue our journey, not only move to the cloud with respect to migrating an application to the cloud, but also see some future in it, like in terms of use those cloud for other benefits, like using AI or using analytics or using probably blockchain as a service probably later, right? And after considering various options, they thought, okay, IBM Cloud might be the best approach for them to continue with their dynamic booking of their applications, right? So what they did was they initially migrated all their application into a microservice architecture and moved to an IBM Cloud capability. And the reason why they did that, because they wanted to embrace the cloud, not by just deploying it in a virtual server or a VMware as such, right? They wanted to really embrace the cloud technology. And then they realized the power of Watson, what was available. So let me just step back a bit and give a brief about Watson. Because when you embrace an IBM Cloud as a platform, right, you do get features from IBM Watson as well. So we have Watson capabilities on IBM Cloud where they have more than 30 plus Watson APIs available to you, which you can leverage quickly. And that's the advantage that they saw when they go ahead with the IBM Cloud as a platform, right? So they migrated their entire application, the entire data set into IBM Cloud, and they wanted technology on top of IBM Cloud. It can be as simple as doing a chatbot, where Watson does provide a service called as Watson Assistant to help you with an assistance for a chatbot, or doing an NLP, like a natural language understanding, where it would understand your textual context of the data and it would throw some insights on it. Right? Those were some of the few reasons why American Airlines wanted to embrace the IBM Cloud. And it didn't stop there, honestly. So Cloud Foundry was one, Watson was other. Then they moved into blockchain, where we are doing kind of a lot of POCs on the blockchain area as well, because we are one of the very few ones who provide blockchain as a service on IBM Cloud, where you can do your entire blockchain network through the IBM Cloud, where IBM would be managing your blockchain environment and you would be only focusing on developing those applications. So the whole time to set up the network, everything would be taken care by IBM. And that's something what American Airlines was looking at as well. And also it didn't stop there for American Airlines. They're right now exploring the opportunity of moving their applications to the IBM Kubernetes service. Now everybody talks about containers, everybody talks about Docker containers, but then how many have actually embraced it? And how many are really trying out those features, and how many see the value add to it are really few, because they're yet to go there. But there are a few customers who have already seen some value add over there. They already have embraced the container technology. They've already embraced the orchestration layer and the need for it. And IBM as a company have also embraced Kubernetes, which is an open source framework, right? And this journey with American Airlines has really converted them from a traditional on-prem customer to a cloud, AI, or even a data-driven customer for us. And that's the important thing that we would provide with respect to a very good use case on IBM Cloud. Now, when you talk about all these use cases, these are all fine. These are all some application services that are available on IBM Cloud. But it's really important for us to understand the security part of it as well, right? So the good part about the public cloud, what we are offering, or even the private cloud, is the data center and the data within the public environment would be taken care by IBM, right? So right from whatever standards that you're talking about, like SOC 2, SOC 3, and ISO 27001 or 0028 or something like that, these are all taken care by the IBM cloud platform here. So you as a vendor, worry about it. You as a customer, do not worry about it because it's been taken care by the IBM Cloud platform, right? And even then, if you're not happy with whatever we are providing on the IBM Cloud, you can still do the same thing on a private environment within your data center as well. So that's the flexibility of option what we provide, and also we give you the flexibility of deploying it in a hybrid and a public environment as well, right? So this is one of the slides that I have taken from the marketing slides. So today clients expect more and enterprise must respond to compete. So as you know, right, 76% of the customer expect company to understand their needs and customer, right? 70% of the customer says that they use a product or service which is very important to winning their business, and 80% of the leaders report their effective and uncovering of new and unmet customer needs using data, right? So when we talk about these numbers, right, when we talk about understanding the customer or understanding the product well or understanding the customer demands better, right? What better way than to leverage the Watson services here, right? So IBM has put a huge bet on Watson. That's our AI engine which is running right now on cloud, but and in on-prem as well, where you can leverage these engine to get analytics or get insights from your customer data, which you already have, right? So I just want to stop here a bit. I got a response saying that they can't hear me. Is that the case with everybody else? Okay, sure. So I think it's just a single audience problem. So so what I was saying was all these numbers, what you see, right, that can be really very much covered with respect to the Watson services what we have. And just to give you a very good insight here, right, and again, these are some of the customers who are using the Watson assistant capabilities in India region, right? So we have a couple of bank customers, and again, you can Google them and name them, but I just want to name them here. So what they do right now is they have integrated their chatbots on their banking websites and also in their instance websites. So what they have seen is they could leverage Watson as a service, as a chatbot assistant for you, and they were able to kind of answer the queries of the customers like 100 to 1,000 or maybe 10,000 times more than what they used to do before, right? These are questions that were answered accurately. I'm not even talking about the inaccurate ones. Of course, what's AI is a platform which learns by itself. AI is a platform which matures over time. That's all good. But the kind of maturity what we already bought into the platform is really helpful to get those insights and get those needs. And that's what we are providing with respect to some of these great tools using the Watson and using the conversation assistant tools, right? And I just want to tell you one thing here. There are a lot many chatbot services available for you. But if you look into the Forrester report about who's the leaders, I mean, there is only one leader on the chatbot engine, right? I mean, rest all are catching up towards us. And that's the IBM Watson conversation capability or the assistant capabilities, right? Similarly, the insights that you want to get from the customer needs, from your application needs, right, can be got through the several of other Watson APIs that are available for you within the network. And we right now have more than 100 plus customers using the Watson services across India, and they have seen a lot of value add. And there was, and for us, it was a very good news as well, where they were able to embrace this technology and they were able to embrace the idea of using Watson and understand or appreciate the fact that what Watson value add would actually provide to your applications, right? Because we have all seen what Watson did for understanding the cancer patient, recommending some of the solution for a cancer patient as such. But that's from a healthcare perspective. But they didn't stop there. Irrespective of whatever technology you're using, right, from banking, finance, from e-commerce, retail, or travel and transport, or even an IoT application, we have Watson capabilities for each of these. And that's the value add what we are providing on a enterprise cloud scenario, right? And one of the other reasons why people want to move to the cloud is from a digital transformation journey, right? So and everybody wants to have their product quality improved, everybody wants to reduce the cost, everybody wants to do a user satisfaction and a customer retention as well. But what are the tools that help you to do that, and what are the tools that you leverage to make sure that you achieve these numbers when you talk about digital transformation? And that's really important, right? So again, I would like to keep talking about the Watson integration with different of our services. For example, we have a plenty of banking customers who are using our mobile backend as a service, which is available on-prem and on cloud. And what we have done is we have integrated Watson to understand the user sentiment of these applications, right? So by default, if anybody types some negative comment on a Google Play or an App Store, Watson would identify immediately and notify to the customer saying that there's a bad comment, there's a negative feedback for you. Even if he has given 5-star and if he has given some rating, or if he has given some 3-star and he has given a negative feedback, right? Watson will be able to immediately understand and notify those feedback and feedback to the customer, telling that this is what it has been provided. So that level of accurate understanding and that level of immediate response by the Watson would really help you to make sure that your user experience is better, your product quality is improved, and there is a user satisfaction as well. And that, of course, finally comes down to customer retention, right? And that would finally come down to the customer retention. So that's what we are providing with respect to the Watson capabilities. And I just gave you one example where Watson is integrated with mobile. But having said that, as I said, right, it's not limited to a specific domain. It's not limited to a specific technology. We, as an IBM, right, have tried to integrate Watson in every other platform, right, from blockchain to IoT to mobile to DevOps to probably an integration tooling as well, right? So here I just want to talk about the cloud and AI acceleration digital transformation, right? And this is something really important in terms of understanding the cloud needs and understanding and appreciating the AI factor as well. Because what happens is when you talk about cloud, there is always this huge skeptical telling that I know the domains from X or domain from Y or a domain from Z will never go to cloud because it's a cloud model and they always want to embrace the on-prem data center as such. But that's not the case, right? We have really seen customers from banking, finance industries, and different other various industries, right, who have embraced this cloud technology because they really saw an ROI over there and they really saw a value add over there, right? So what they have done is they have taken the hybrid cloud approach where they have their data, they have their customer data still running on their premises, but they have their AI application or some of the application microservices which is running on cloud. And it was very great for us to work with those kind of customers who we thought would never come on a cloud platform, to be honest. And that's the biggest change what we are seeing. And with the capabilities of AI and data that is available on IBM Cloud, I think it was pretty simpler for them to actually make their choice of which cloud vendor they want to go ahead with that, right? And that's the real differentiate what we want to bring in. Because see, bringing a cloud vendor is one part where you'll be able to migrate your application. But what next? How will you be able to gain insights from that application? How will you be able to probably tomorrow leverage a blockchain as an application scenario, or probably leverage an IoT application, right? That's when probably we would bring out those additional capabilities as a part of the IBM cloud journey. Now, what we have done from an IBM perspective is, as I said, right, our solutions are not limited to a specific industry, but we understand that every industry, the journey is unique, right? So it can be for a finance industry, we know that there are journeys which has to be very specific to a finance customer, or for a retail industry, or for an e-commerce customer, right? We understand that your journey is completely different. So what we have done is we have industry specific applications and workloads which we would suggest how you can migrate to a cloud and how you can leverage AI over there as well, right? And that's what we want to continue our journey with respect to the cloud and AI. And that's the culture and the process what we are following right now. And we internally have a team which will help you to kind of dedicate your time to those specific industries and probably leverage the right folks who has an industry experience with respect to your particular domain or your particular knowledge, and then take it from there, because that's pretty much very important. And that's what an IBM experience would bring to you. Because see, IBM is kind of categorized in every single industry which you can talk about, right? Right from an e-commerce to a finance to a startup as such. But then it's really important for the experts to also understand your workloads, your needs, so that we could specify the right workloads on the IBM Cloud. Right. So here I'm just talking about the reality of today's scenario, right? I know everybody's moving to the cloud, but it's not the case that they are putting their entire application on a cloud environment. So there are cases where they have maybe converted their entire application on a public cloud, or they can be using a virtual private cloud kind of a scenario, or some people might be using a public cloud as such, right? So that's to categorize those needs, right? And since IBM has an experience of working with a lot of enterprise customers throughout his journey of 100 plus years, right? So we actually understand the need of having a private cloud scenario and also a hybrid cloud scenario, and that's why we have offering for these different complex scenarios as well with respect to a real-time application sources. So before I move ahead, right, I just want to stop here a bit and probably want to understand if there are any questions that you want to ask with respect to what we've spoken till now. All right. Okay. So continuing ahead with our discussion, right, about a journey to cloud and to an AI journey. I mean, that's at the end of the day, your goal is not to move to the cloud. I mean, that's one part to it. But after moving to cloud, how do you leverage the AI part of it? And how do you leverage the Watsons, the blockchains, or the IoT of the services that are available? Right. So what we have seen is, with respect to your journey to the cloud, you need to migrate your application to the cloud, you need to modernize, you need to innovate, you need to. But then when you talk about an AI journey, right, you can start off your AI journey from scratch, even before you start migrating your application to the cloud. And that's what we have seen with many of our customers as well, right, where they have kind of embraced the AI journey first, where they appreciated the fact about what are the capabilities AI was able to do. So what are the valuable feedback they were able to provide, and they were able to kind of help us with a different approach what we are providing. So Rakesh, if you have some questions, please go ahead. All right. Okay. So the advantage again the approach what we do right now is kind of be with you from a transformation journey, right? From modernizing, innovating, or even from optimizing. At the end of the day, everybody sees a ROI, or everybody sees a value what IBM Cloud would be providing, right? And what's the AI ROI, what you would eventually get with respect to moving ahead with a cloud platform. And that's when we can help you out, bringing you the right numbers and helping you out with the right estimates for your journey. Okay, so in this slide, I just want to talk about some of our value add that we are providing, right? So we as an IBM, right? I mean, IBM is known for its traditional so many applications like VAS or DB2 and so many other things which probably you would have heard of what IBM is providing. But there's a lot of change that has happened from an IBM perspective as well. So we have started embracing open source tools and technology right now. And from our IBM Cloud, if you see that most of our services, what's running is actually from an open source, which is completely managed by IBM Cloud. Whether it can be lifting and shifting your applications to IBM Cloud, or using the Kubernetes engine, or using the virtual server. So pretty much we want to embrace the open source tools, and we have a lot of developers who are contributing to those open source tools and technologies right now. And that's the change that has come up within IBM as well. So one of the things that I want to mention here is with respect to the workload of your application. Like depending on the workload of your application, we can suggest you a right workload on cloud. For example, if you're looking at an application where you want to have where you want to deploy a application which needs a very high scalable environment and which needs a very high compute engine, then we are able to provide a physical server on cloud, which I think most of our vendors will not be able to do, because we are one of the very few ones who provide a bare metal server on cloud. And apart from that, if you're looking at a normal virtual server, we can provide that option as well. If you're looking at a modernizing Kubernetes application, then yeah, if you want to deploy a Docker in container on a Kubernetes, then we do provide that service as well. Or if you're looking at an event-driven or a serverless compute engine, right, then we provide that option as well. So the flexibility what we provide based on your workload, based on your based on your needs, right, it's tremendous here, and that's the real value add that we want to provide with respect to the IBM Cloud approach. Right. So one of the other things what we encourage our customers right now is to leverage the containers, or to leverage the microservice architecture, or to embrace the microservice architecture, because that's kind of where the journey is moving right now. Whether it can be as simple as doing a DevOps, doing a continuous integration or continuous deployment using DevOps, or using a multi-cloud deployment using DevOps, where you have part of the application deployed on maybe. Yeah, go ahead. Please feel free if you have any queries. All right. So where you have part of your application deployed on IBM Cloud, where you have part of your application deployed on maybe another cloud vendor. So we want to embrace any flexibility what developer wants, to make sure that we are not limited to IBM, or you're not vendor locked with IBM technologies or with respect to IBM services, right? So in this slide, we are more talking about the insights what you're able to get from the data. I mean, again, here I just want to again elaborate on the Watson part. But apart from Watson, right? I mean, Watson is an AI engine. That's great. I mean, that provides a lot of insights. But do you have anything apart from Watson? I mean, we also have embraced all these open source tools that are available, like an Apache Spark, or maybe a Hadoop engine, or maybe streaming insights as such. So it's not just the Watson what you would actually get on IBM Cloud, but in case you are a traditional data scientist, right, or you're a traditional analytics engine lover, you can still go ahead and perform this action using those engines that are available on the IBM Cloud platform, right? So that's a real differentiator what we want to provide. And to everybody in the audience, right, what I would request you to do is you can just Google IBM Cloud, or you can just go to bluemix.net, and under the catalog, you'll be able to see all these categories which I've been talking about, like AI, blockchain, or bare metal, or even Kubernetes, because that's a one-stop shop for you if you're looking at an IBM Cloud approach or an IBM Cloud scenario. So what exactly you can leverage on an IBM Cloud, right? So IBM Cloud provides you a platform for you to build all your application with. It can be a AI application, it can be a simple Hello World application, it can be a chatbot, it can be a e-commerce website. It really doesn't matter. So, and based on the workload, like I mentioned, we would suggest you the right approach. It can be a bare metal, it can be a virtual server, it can be a VMware, it can be a Kubernetes, it can be a Docker container, or it can be a serverless computing as well, right? The second thing what we provide is AI ready. I mean, that's really what differentiates us, because from a compute engine, of course, bare metal is something what differentiates us. Kubernetes is something which we are providing a very good value add, but we are not the only ones to do that. But what really differentiates us is the AI ready part of it, right? How you can leverage the AI capabilities as soon as you start deploying on IBM Cloud, or even before that. I mean, that's what really differentiates us. And the third one is the security, right? Because when you talk about IBM, the first thing comes to my mind, or comes to many people's mind, is the security part of it. Because IBM is definitely known for its security and definitely known for its security features what we provide. And we have made sure that there is no compromise on our IBM Cloud as well. We want to continue that same focus on the same security threads what you are following on the on-prem scenarios as well. And that definitely is something that differentiates us, right? Here I want to give a very simple example. Now, people are embracing containers. People are embracing Docker containers. They're using Kubernetes as a service, or they're using Docker Swarm, and so many other orchestration services that we have, right? So, but one value add, and you would ask me, why would I even leverage Kubernetes on IBM Cloud when there are so many other vendors who are already doing that, right? So one of the easiest answer what I would able to get is, first thing, of course, we are providing an easy management capabilities where you will be able to easily help you to an end-to-end scenario of managing those clusters. The second important thing what I usually say is the security part of it. As soon as you deploy a container image or a Docker image on a Kubernetes, the first thing it does is it does the vulnerability scanning, which right now is one of our unique capabilities over there. And that's really important to understand if there are any malwares, if there are any redundant insights on your application, or if the images are corrupt, it would automatically detect for you. And that's how IBM Cloud is secure to the core. And that's just one of the simple example what I'm giving. But for every service, we have our own security policies in place to make sure that your applications are inbuilt and applications are supported, right? So I have a query from Mufi asking how AI can help in process flow and document management. So it's a very good question, right? So IBM has already a solution for a process flow. It's called as BPM, what we have right now. So, and it's again integrated with the AI engine, where you'll be able to probably leverage those capabilities. And we have a lot of our customers already using the BPM engine for business rules and business process flows with respect to AI. And of course, what AI would give you is the insights of it, like the predictive insights, or with respect to giving you the right updates or the right approach about the next steps, about what needs to be taken. And that's what we have done with respect to our BPM engine. Right. So moving on. So as I said, right, we already spoke about the first part about journey to the cloud and AI, but what's our IBM technology stack, right? So as you can see here, whatever is there on the grid, right, from applications, the data, the cloud platform, the security and compliance, is completely taken care by IBM. Of course, you need to deploy an application on cloud, but then after that, the operations part of it, the management part of it, the integration, the strategy and design, everything would be taken care by IBM. And the good part here is any kind of weekly reports that we do, the vulnerability scanning, the vulnerability advisor, what we run on IBM Cloud, you are eligible to get those reports on the IBM Cloud, and you'll be able to understand whether any security updates or whether any security fix patches that needs to be taken, or was there any additional impact on the workloads or the applications that are running, or are there any new viruses that can affect the cloud assets. So all these details you'll be able to get it easily with respect to our reporting what we provide on the IBM Cloud journey. So as I said before, right, when you talk about IBM Cloud, we of course want to make sure that all of our customer can embrace the cloud journey, whether it can be an on-premise customer or whether it can be an off-premise customers as well who are already on cloud. And we want to make sure that those are connected to each other using our integration capabilities, right? And that's when we kind of embrace, or we kind of talk about the hybrid cloud scenario, right? And this architecture is probably a one-stop shop where it will actually tell you what exactly IBM would provide as a whole. It can be an IBM on cloud, it can be an integration to on-prem to on cloud, or it can be just on-prem. So as you can see, right, one of the interesting what you see is Kubernetes is available in all the three journeys. So that's right. So we are actually providing IBM Cloud Private, which is purely on a Kubernetes platform on your premises. So if you want to have a cloud kind of a platform on your platform or on your on-premise data center, then IBM can help you to do that. But if you want to just embrace the cloud technology, you can do that. Or you probably want to just embrace the integration capabilities between an on-prem and an on-cloud customer, irrespective of which cloud are you using. Then still you can free to use some of the integration tools, some of the API engines that are available, right? So probably I'll just give 30 seconds for any other questions before I move on to a little bit of detail on these slides. Sure. So as a next step, right, I just want to talk about some of the use cases where people have embraced IBM Cloud and they have seen a digital transformation journey, and we have some of the biggest of names who have actually embraced the IBM Cloud, and of course we have a lot of Indian names as well who has embraced the IBM Cloud. So right from American Airlines to Hertz to Westpac, these are some of the very big names who has embraced the IBM Cloud. And when you talk about embrace, it's just not about deploying their application on cloud. They were able to leverage a lot of features, a lot of capabilities on the IBM Cloud scenario, right? So that's the real differentiator of what we provide, right? And probably once this session is done, you can connect to me separately where we can talk about a lot of Indian use cases as well, where specific to your domains, whether it can be an e-commerce site, whether it can be a bank, or whether it can be an insurance customer, or whether it can be a startup who are looking at something on a travel transportation chain, then it's a very good use cases what we have. I mean, in this context, I just want to talk about one more thing about our IoT service, right? So we have a very good IoT platform that are available, and the recent success, I mean, pretty much a lot of you have already seen the ads with respect to Nexa, right? The Maruti Suzuki Nexa, the connected cars ads. So this probably is a very good example where they have leveraged IBM Watson IoT capabilities on cloud to make sure that you get the entire connected car capabilities. I mean, that's a very, really good ad what I've seen, and that's a very good IBM Cloud customer which you can think of or which you can leverage as one of the good examples. So similarly, we have a lot of other names, but this is something that has come to my mind, which was very recent, right? And why do you want to invest your time on IBM Cloud, and why do you want to leverage IBM Cloud? Is simply because of our deep industry skills. So as you know that IBM is one of the only companies who's have a record number of patents with respect to any industries that you can talk about, right? That's the experience what we bring in as well. So we have industry experts on blockchain, where we have already done some use cases on Maersk. So if you just go to YouTube and search for an IBM Maersk use case on blockchain, you would get a really good video about what really blockchain provides you as a value add, because everybody talks about blockchain, but what's the value add you provide? What's the ROI you get? So if you really want to know that advantages, right, I mean, that's a really good video, but tells you the entire process of blockchain. It's just a 3-minute video which talks about the process of blockchain and also tells you about the ROI, what the customer got. Here it was Maersk by adapting the IBM blockchain scenario. But yeah, the whole point here is that's the experience what we want to bring in with respect to any tools or technologies that you are using on the IBM Cloud scenario. The second is the data sets, right? So right now we have around 60 plus data centers across the globe. For an Indian perspective, the nearest one is a Chennai data center, but we have data centers in Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, Australia. So these are some of the nearest ones what we have available. So, but the good part here is we have 60 plus data centers across the globe. And what we are doing right now is we are embracing something called as a multi-zone architecture, where we are moving our application into a multi-zone scenarios to make sure that if your two instances of your applications are running on one of our data center, we want to make sure that those two instances are in a separate data zone, like a physically separated data centers within the same region, Right. And that's what we are already live with respect to Kubernetes. So if you launch a Kubernetes container on IBM Cloud, and if you deploy multiple worker nodes, you have an option of deploying it in a multiple zones within the same region. I mean, that's the level of what to say availability we want to bring to your application, and also that's the level of segregation we want to kind of have between those worker nodes of your application. And that's how we are kind of wanting to do with all of our data center, making sure that it's a multi-zone capability or a multi-zone availability region. Right. The third one, the other most important aspect is a partnership, right? So we have partnered with a lot of vendors. I mean, it's a huge set of partners that are available on IBM Cloud, and everybody's free to do that. I mean, we encourage a lot of partners coming on IBM Cloud. Whether it can be on a mobile, it can be on Watson, it can be on integration as such. That's what we want to kind of leverage our partnership journey with respect to our customers as well, because we want to embrace, we want to work hand in hand with our partners and make sure that they are successful. And if they are successful, of course, we are successful as well. The last and the final part here is the innovation labs, what we are providing, right? So as you know, right, we are one of the few ones who has a really big research and R&D center available on the IBM Cloud, where there are a lot of innovative things that are happening. Recently, I want to talk about what we have done with respect to one of the jewelry industry, right? We have integrated AI to those jewelry industry to make sure that we get a better insights. Probably when that application is live, we can talk more about it. So I just don't want to go more in detail. But we have embraced AI to jewelry. We have embraced AI to fashion. And these are some of the things which nobody thought somebody would actually leverage AI capabilities or AI technologies to those. But we were able to do that with respect to our innovation labs that are available on IBM Cloud. Of course, the traditional AI is anyways going in place, right? But there are some of the industries which no one thought an AI would be possible, especially when you talk about jewelry as such. But we're able to do that. Right. These are some of the ways how an IBM Cloud can help you, like a garage methodology. So in a garage, what happens is IBM and you as a customer, right, we jointly sit together throughout your cloud journey, right from design thinking, telling how the application should be, from the UI to the UI UX part to the application logic to the deployment. So we sit with you and we help you to adopt the IBM Cloud, whether it can be like just a blockchain or a Watson or a mobile as a service. And that's how IBM Cloud Garage can help you to do that. And in case you want to partner with some of our partners instead of the IBM Cloud Garage, we will be able to do that as well. And that's how we want to kind of make sure that you have a technical hand in place when you're going ahead with our journey to the cloud. Not only just the deployment part of the IBM Cloud, we just don't want to stop there. So that you are AI enabled, you are probably enabled to blockchain if your business needs it, or you are completely transformed into a cloud journey or a migration journey as such. So there are a lot of things which IBM Cloud Garage can help you out with that. Like I said, right from UI to the development of application, to understand if there are some migration factory required, to understand if there are some modern application development, to understand if there are some security needs or compliance needs of the application. Right. So that's about Garage, how you can get started and understand the Garage methodologies, the new age design thinking to start up an application. Right. So before I wind up my session, right, and this is one of the very important use cases. I think I already spoke a bit about it, but one of the really interesting use cases which I want to talk about is the MERS, what we have done with respect to blockchain. All right. And for the time we had and the kind of deployment we needed, we really needed a blockchain as a service environment, right? And we are one of the few ones to provide that, and that's how we were able to successfully do that without in no time, right? And or with leveraging very little time what we had, right? And so as you can see, why IBM? Because IBM provides those high performance infrastructure to run those blockchain as a service. Because doing a POC on blockchain is fine, but when we talk about production level application, when you have real blockchain instances running and it's updating at a real time, one of the key problems, key challenges, what you have seen in the blockchain network is it becomes really slow. It becomes really, really slow because there's so many networks, there's so many links that are connected to each other, and that's how it really creates those problems for you in terms of deploying those applications, or maybe even processing an application or processing one request on a blockchain. But the good part on IBM Cloud is blockchain is available. So you should be able to just deploy it and IBM would take care of the load for you. Whether it can be 100 requests, 1,000 requests, 1,000 links, 1,000 chain codes, it really doesn't matter. IBM will be able to take care of those. And that's a benefit what even Musk had seen, right? When you talk about real ROI or real features, I would still ask you to go through the video in YouTube, which really talks about the entire use case, how it was done. But then if you actually leverage this use cases on an IBM Cloud, right, we are able to really see the ROI or the advantages what you got, and it actually saved almost 15.8% of the actual traffic, right? With respect to when you say traffic, it can be time saving or cost saving as such on an IBM Cloud journey, right? And they were able to save some millions of dollars, which I really. Probably you might get the exact number on the official site, but yeah, they were able to save millions of dollars when they adopted the blockchain as a service technology, right? And that's what we want our customers to engage as well. So as a final thought, right, what we want our customers to do is not only come to on IBM Cloud, but make sure that they are AI driven so that they get the ROI on cloud, or they're blockchain ready, or they're mobile ready, or they're integration ready. So to make sure that they kind of leverage the cloud capabilities, not only by deploying it on cloud, but making sure that they enhance their capabilities and skills with those new age technologies, which really provide some value add to that, right? So that's it. I just want to end the session here with respect to cloud. So I think we have still 10 more minutes of our time. So feel free to ask any queries on the chat, or feel free to probably raise your hand and probably ask any questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rai, for sharing this insight with us about what you all do basically. And we have a few questions actually here, Mr. Rai.
Sure. So I'm just going through the chats as well. I think one of the questions what Harikesh has asked is how is IBM Cloud coping up with the serious contenders on the enterprise cloud like AWS or Azure? I mean, that's a really good question, right? And to be honest, they are a really serious contenders for a couple of reasons. One, they are early in the market, and people have already started adopting them, and that's what we are seeing, and that's a reality as well. But then what we really what the value add what we provide is also huge, right? Because we're able to do what they are able to do on the cloud. But apart from that, with respect to an AI engine, I think we are much more mature compared to our competitors. Now, it's a debatable topic. They might say they would have some of the services which are better, some of the services which we are better. But to be honest, in terms of a maturity level, I think from an AI part, and that's why we focus more on this AI journey on cloud, right? Or even a security on cloud, even a data or a blockchain on a cloud, because these are some of the capabilities which we embraced in the beginning, and we are very much mature compared to our competitors, and that's how we want to kind of leverage. And the second thing what I want to talk about is, see, right from not only AI is one part to it, but when you talk about infrastructure as a service, right? We have bare metal on cloud, which our competitors didn't have. I'm sure slowly they will bring it up as well. Or when you talk about VMware partnership, right? I mean, we are the first ones to partner on VMware in terms of an enterprise cloud, and we are still the only ones. I'm sure you say that AWS is, but yeah, AWS is still limited to very few data centers, and its partners to very few applications only, and not for the entire workload, right? So that's how we want to really differentiate us, because although we are late into the market, we are still pretty much enterprise ready, and that's our bigger area, right? Because enterprise customers, we're a traditional IBM customers, and we want to make sure that whatever journey they need, we want to make sure that we are ready for it. Of course, it's a serious competition, but yeah, it's good to have a great competition as well with respect to cloud. The second question is here with respect to Mufi, where he is asking how can AI help in process flow and document management. So I think I did answer that. So we have a service, we have a product called as IBM BPM, which can help you to do those process workflow and document management as such. I mean, this is a service that's been around for a while, but what we have done right now is introduce the AI capabilities, which is pretty much required. So I think going through that can be a good option for you to understand a little bit much more on that, right? The next question is from Sandeep, where he's asking, IBM has somewhat closed architecture, and others AWS has open and many options. I mean, this is a very good question, Sandeep. I'm glad you brought this up because this is something what we get from our customers as well. And that was a traditional IBM scenario, I think, because where IBM was really kind of had its own tools, has its own technology, and it was very closed as such. But we have actually come out of it, to be honest, right? And I have been in this IBM Cloud journey from past 3.5 years since the inception of BloomX, right? And I have seen a lot of changes that has happened. So first thing, we have all migrated to Slack. So we are no longer in a closed environment. So any product that we are developing, right from blockchain to mobile to IoT, you can join our Slack channel and start talking with our product engineers, with our product experts, right? The second thing is we are embracing GitHub. All the things what I talked till now, right, is available on github.com/IBM Cloud. Every architecture, right, from blockchain to Watson to IoT, everything is available there, right? The third thing is we started developing patterns. So if you just Google IBM Cloud patterns, right, you'll be able to get a lot of use cases, a lot of industry references on the IBM Cloud. So we are slowly moving ahead with that. Honestly, we have already moved out of like a closed architecture scenario. But you are right. If you talked about a couple of years back, maybe 3 years back, this was a comment what we used to get. And one of the misconceptions what we have is people still think that we are still bounded by the closed architecture, and that's no longer true, right? And just an example, right? We have embraced Kubernetes as a platform, but when you talk about some of our competitors, right, they are still using some of their own tools. Like for example, when you talk about just as an example, since you brought about an AWS approach here, right? So when you use their serverless engine or when you use their container engine, you're still using some of their capabilities only, right? I just don't want to name them, but you are actually slowly getting vendor locked on their tools and technology. But when you talk about Kubernetes as a service or when you talk about functions as a service on IBM Cloud, you're completely leveraging an open source one, and tomorrow you are free to go ahead with any other cloud vendor, which is not kind of easy with some of our competitors, which you realize when you're thinking of going ahead with someone else. Right. So the next question what I got from Raju is how much easy or user friendly is for the users to reduce the time to deploy an application compared to AWS or Microsoft Azure services. Again, this is a very valid point, right? I mean, see, we as you can see, right now AWS and Azure have embraced the Cloud Foundry technology, which will help you to reduce time of deployment on the cloud. But to be honest, IBM Cloud started off with an IBM Cloud Foundry, embrace Cloud Foundry. So Cloud Foundry is one of the open source tools which will help you to quickly build those applications on cloud. All right, whether it can be a Java application, Python, PHP, Ruby, whatever Cloud Foundry supports, you should be able to do that. And again, it's an open source one. So AWS and Azure has just started doing that, and we were already in market. When you talk about a VM or a bare metal deployment, I think the process is still same, because irrespective of the cloud vendor, you still have to do the same process of calculating how many cores, how many RAM, and then you deploy, and then it takes its own sweet time to deploy, maybe minutes, seconds, 2 hours, and finally it deploys, right? So I don't see any difference in respect to infrastructure, but when you talk about application, definitely we have embraced some of the tools and technology which we were some of the few ones to do that, and finally others kind of followed our path And of course, AWS and Azure does have those features right now, which they didn't have maybe a couple of years back. Right. So since people are okay, I have a next question where it tells about security features that have incorporated have visibility on audit logs of IBM Cloud and data leakages. This is again a very valid point, very valid questions that you are asked, Raju. So, a couple of things that I want to mention here, right? So there are two parts to it. One is the compliance part. So if you want to understand what are compliant, what IBM Cloud compliant to, you can just Google IBM Cloud compliance certificates. You will get all the compliance certification on IBM Cloud. And we make sure that we are in the market. And if you feel that there is something missing, you feel that there is an additional certification that you need, you can always recommend back to us and we make sure that that should be up and running for us. That's one. But having said that, to answer your question, right, straightforward, right, you will be able to get most of the logs details which can be shareable to a customer, right? And that's what we want to do with respect to our transparency on IBM Cloud. And there are customers of us who actually request for those data, and we make sure that these data has been sent across to the customers whenever required. Right. So one more point I want to mention about, because there's so many comparison between AWS and Azure, and that's fair because people have started embracing that for quite some time and they want to kind of understand what's the real value and what we provide. But what I usually do with when customer comes with those questions, right, although at a very high level I can use some of the advantages, but at the end of the day it comes back to the service, right? For example, if you say that tomorrow I'm deploying a container image and I'm using database as service like MongoDB, what's the value add that you're providing? And then we can talk about specific to those value add. Like when I talk about container image, I can talk about security of those images. I can talk about easily managing those nodes. Or I talk about the database service, I can make sure the replication sets that are available. So we usually go back to the specifics of those application solutioning and make sure that we tell you about high-level security and high-level what are the advantages, what we can provide. But at a very high level, when you ask about the differences, of course we have our own differentiator, and they might come back with their own differentiators, right? But yeah, we want to make sure that we are in sync with them with respect to pricing, with respect to technology, with respect to architecture. All right. So there's another question. Let me just read out to you. So is there any way we can to be integrated with the third-party solutions like Cloud Access Server Security Broker to complete visibility on IBM Cloud? Okay, so see, I mean, if I understood the questions rightly, right? So from an IBM Cloud perspective, we make sure that you should be able to integrate most of the services as long as you are able to call it through an API, right? And that's the flexibility what we want to provide. Now, I really don't understand like what level of security access broker do you want to provide, but then yeah, so if you want to provide on top of an IBM Cloud, we have already done that, and you can leverage some of the services as well. All right. The next question is a little repeated one, telling that how user friendly and time to reduce the deployment application on AWS and Azure. But yeah, as I discussed, right, so we have some of the tools which help you to reduce time in terms of deploying an application on IBM Cloud from minutes to seconds as well, using some of our very good DevOps tools and technologies. So the next question was from Nafis, if I pronounce this right. What is a typical time frame to move on-prem to a cloud and steps involved in brief? Okay, see, this is a very good question, right? And see, it really depends, Nafis, how do you want to move it? I mean, if you want to just lift and shift your application to cloud, then you can do it quickly using a VM or a bare metal that's available on IBM Cloud, right? I mean, that's fairly simple because you're just doing a lift and shift of the same existing environment to the cloud. But then when you talk about a microservice architecture, like doing a real cloud native application, there are some migration factors which needs to be involved. So what we ideally do is we have some of the migration factors for different languages like Java or some other programming languages. We run them, you get a test telling that this is 100% efficient on cloud, or we say that no, these are some of the changes that need to do, and then probably we need to sit together and do that. So if you're really looking at a lift and shift, it's fairly simple, deploy a VM bare metal and just move to cloud. Or if you're looking at a real cloud native application, then probably we need to run through those migration factor scenarios. Right. So probably we can connect later offline and we can discuss more about it. I think I have answered some chats, and I think we are just overshooting on the time as well. So respecting everybody's time, I would hand over to Ruben to just.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Rai. On behalf of Economic Times, I would like to thank all the participants for joining this webinar and Mr. Rai for sharing his thoughtful insights. We hope it has been a useful time spent with us. Once you log off, automatically a window will open to capture your feedback. Your feedback is very important for us. Please fill in as detailed as possible your queries, questions in your feedback, of course. Thank you again for joining the Economic Times live webinar powered by IBM.